This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed by Penji podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Garrett Adkins, founder of Impact Media. Thank you so much for coming on with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
It's awesome, and it's crazy that we're on different coasts.
Yep. East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. here, and it's probably 1 p.m. there?
You got it.
Okay. I'm understanding it. But I've never been on the West Coast before this, so it's very interesting. We're home. Okay, so can you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, how you kind of got to this point in your career, and what your inspiration was behind creating media?
Yeah, definitely. So Impact Media was founded just about 5 years ago. We hit 5 years next month in November is when we officially launched the website. I've been an entrepreneur at heart ever since I was a kid. I was burning CDs and selling them out of my locker, to selling candy, to importing stuff on from Alibaba back in the early days, and starting online stores. So they're eBay, Etsy. Always just kind of enjoyed the process of creating things and the act of commerce, and kind of like that dance and somebody wanting to basically pay for something that you helped to bring to life. So that was always an interest of mine ever since as early as I can remember. And as I, grew and went through high school, went through university, I got really interested into environmentalism, sustainability, health and wellness, motivational stuff, like going down all the meditation and breath work and like all that good stuff to help kind of evolve me as a person and those interests. And the more I wanted to also develop while I was learning about these different causes and passions that I had, I found the 4-hour work week, like a lot of people do, and that kind of opened my eyes to the ability to build something online, to build something virtual. So started developing there, tried all types of things from social media management to editing videos, doing like all the likes. And through that kind of trial and error, I was able to make some really great connections, was able to really fulfill that dream of being able to work remotely. And just develop that more and more, and was able to work on some really incredible projects. And fast forward a little bit, after jumping around, I had moved back to Huntington, West Virginia, which is where we're primarily based out of. We have a few team members up in Montreal, Quebec as well. But started up Impact Media, and that was just a way for essentially to take it from me as a freelancer and to build more of a brand and a flag that I could bring more individuals on, and really build something that sustains not just my own life and missions, but to be able to bring more team a part of that process, and people that are aligned with supporting purpose-driven brands, which is what we do here at Impact Media. We specifically focus on content production and placement. So shooting video, editing video that's sent to us either or, and then distributing that content, whether it's through organic social media channels or through paid media placement. So we're able to make the content and place it and follow you around until hopefully you buy or subscribe. And ideally, always like to work with brands that we're passionate about and align with their causes.
I really like that. Well, that's really awesome. I like that. Thank you for giving me like a good little story, because I feel like some people don't find enough information. And I appreciate that. What I was wondering was, did you kind of fill in the gaps for people that you added to your team of things that maybe you like weren't as good at, or like you didn't want to do yourself or stuff like that? Not that you're, putting work on your but you said that you kind of, taught yourself kind of how to do a bunch of different things. So Is that kind of what you did?
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I think, like a good rule of thumb with most things. I like to know that I have a base in a lot of different aspects of marketing, from being able to understand the strategy and the philosophy and, strategies of paid media placement. But I'm not the one actually placing the ads for 95% of the time. We have Boomi on our team who does that. I can shoot photo, I can shoot video, but my brother actually has been with Impacts from the beginning as well, and he's our creative director and head of our video, and he's way better than me. And we've just got amazing people that we really source to fill those gaps, and tried to remove myself more and more, which is a constant evolution and process of how do I, find someone that's better than me at something and then put them in a position where they're able to excel. And then my job really is to be able to communicate that. And since I know a base understanding, or I mean, a little bit more than a base, of course, of some of these different aspects, I can really speak to the value of all these different moving pieces and communicate that to a client to help develop strategies, and then also set realistic expectations with what we can and can't do. So someone says, hey, in this video, can we change the whole background to be the different color sky, or just example, something crazy. I mean, with AI now, you can probably do a lot of that stuff, but I can realistically say, okay, we aren't able to do that because I know like what is actually capable with these different types of services that we offer. So that's definitely been always a focus. And it's also really pushed me in my role and where I'm trying to evolve as an entrepreneur and as a marketer, is to focus more on that project management aspects of it, delegation, working with different organizations and companies, even similar to, I know you're all services as well, as like being able to work and coordinate different moving pieces. And that's just like my next evolution of how do I go from the implementation and working in the business to becoming better at working on the business, marketing, selling, operations, financial planning, which is, yeah, it's just another ceiling to push through, and it's got its own challenges and excitement. And I'm really excited to see that evolution, how it pushes me.
Oh, that's really cool, and I like that. It's nice to be able to have a foundation for all of these different parts, not only because you have that experience, but you also are able to, you know, have these conversations with people on your team better because you realistically know what's going on, like, and how the processes of their job is. Whereas I think a lot of people will, you know, delegate at different positions, but they don't really understand them completely and they don't understand the work that goes into them. So they think that their expectations are not managed correctly. And that's a
Exactly.
very lovely position to be in. And it's nice to be able to, step kind of up where you know that you're looking towards something where you'd like to just take a little step back, which is nice because you kind of get to see like what you created, and how, when you set it yourself up for success, you can see how efficient it is, which is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, we're constantly evolving that, and I think that that's a good note to make, is that my job isn't always focused on the how it gets done or the what, but it's like more so the why, of also keeping up with trends and asking questions of, we might have an amazing design come through or a video come through, and I'll be the person that they get it 80 or 90% of the way there. And I'm like, let's put text right here. Or let's change this hook a little bit, and let's use this type of format or export because this is what's going to drive the most engagement, and kind of helping but bring those bridges together of, we can make a stellar video, but if it's not going to stop someone's scroll, how can we evolve that process as well? So it's also fun to be that second set of eyes. And I know that a lot of creatives can sometimes, it can be exhausting to work from something from start to finish. So when you're surrounded by this team, whenever Sam or whoever it is has actually gotten it to 99 or 95% of the way there, and they need someone to come in and be like, like, I've got this fresh set of eyes. Let me look at it, give feedback. I think it really creates a great system, and really helps the final product.
I definitely agree with that. We have like a similar system with we redo our website constantly. And I think when I came on the team, I think my boss was super excited because he was like, "Oh, new person to look at the website because we're looking at the website every week."
That's great.
Um, But it does. It definitely helps because I definitely think that when you're looking at something for so long, it's really hard to see certain things, especially put yourself in the headspace of a client or a potential client because you might be so proud of something that you did and you think it's great, but you're not looking in the lens of, who it's for because you're just the creator. And I think that's difficult sometimes.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that that's a really good thing to do. And also it sounds like the environment and culture that you all have set up in place is that it's open and like welcome to that feedback. And I think that that's another good thing to keep in mind whenever you're in the creative field or working in business is, and that's it's creatives that we work in this field is we can be like emotionally tied to that
That's hard
product. And sometimes
sometimes.
it's hard to, get that feedback, but to be open and be on the same mission of like, we have this new team member that's come on board and let's get their honest thoughts and feedback. And let's like open this and use this as an opportunity for growth and not as an opportunity for, hurt feelings or any of that sort of thing. It's more so of like, how do we evolve and keep focused on the mission? And that's to create the best product. And that's definitely something that we should do more of is like revisiting our own website and stuff. I'm trying to put more effort into it. So I'm glad to hear that you all are doing that as well. But I've always pushed myself to at least every few months of like do my own audit of my own social accounts and everything where I'm like, I'm always clicking around. I'm looking out and then it's good to take a step back and be like, what does my actual profile look like? What is it actually saying? It's easy for us to set something up 2 or 3 years ago and not go back and make sure one, are all the links and stuff still working? And then two, is it still communicating the type of brand that we want to communicate and attracting the right client?
No, completely. I think I was kind of scared because I had jobs before this that people were not good with criticism. And I think one of my first assignments when I was working here was write like all the things that you don't like about our website. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna like fire me immediately.
And the letters.
They're gonna be so upset. But no, they're not like that. So it's very nice. And I think it's really important to be critical of your work. I think being in the creative industry, it's very difficult because you can work so hard on something, it's just not it. And I think it's really hard to, take in sometimes, but it's also like a lot of times, especially in agencies, you're creating something for someone else and they can have a different opinion or their audience can have a different opinion. And we always have to factor that into what we're doing, but it's really hard. You can create something that's objectively beautiful, but it's
Definitely.
not marketable for that specific place.
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
right. Okay. So speaking of kind of being consumed with like a creative um lens, okay, because you guys do a lot of social media advertising, I was wondering, is this kind of just and I guess an opinion question, but do you think that how do you navigate being consumed with social media and not having it affect your well-being?
A great question. I've really tried it all. Like you're more so speaking to like just using it as a consumer, but also working in the field. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
because you kind
referring
of have
to?
to be a
Get to be in
consumer to like
there.
learn what's going right at the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a couple of ways that I think about that. I mean, number one, I've had this news feed eradicator on my own Facebook, like on my laptop that I use. So when I
Mhm.
go to Facebook to have to, check on something or work, it just has a motivational quote. It'll be Alan Watts or Buddha or Michael Jordan or something. It'll just nothing on the feed. It'll just be a quote. And it's pretty much reminding me, don't get consumed here because you can lose so much time of going down the rabbit
Oh.
holes. So I have that in place. I've tried, I have Opal, which they have some great advertising, that turns off my social media for certain times of the day. So I know my weaknesses and if I have access to it, I'm someone who just needs to create barriers to make that much harder for me to, consume. So I do personally use a lot of tools to try to minimize those, minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes that really add up to losing a day. And then also I am very, try to be critical. It's especially the way that Instagram and TikTok and these other platforms are evolving. Whenever you get on there, you're starting to consume just whatever they feed you, which they're really good at it and they keep your attention. And you're spending less time looking at people you actually know and more on what's going to suck you in for a longer amount of time. But I do try to like make sure that I'm following pages and unfollowing pages as it comes up, like going through who I'm following and does this page still serve me or should I unfollow them and start finding some other marketing professionals or health and wellness that's going to better benefit me? I mean, the easiest thing is try to minimize that time on there as much as possible. But also when you are using it, to think about like I encourage like my team to look at social media when they're using it as an opportunity to also learn, as like not just consuming the what, but consuming the why. Why did something stop your scroll? Why is this engaging? Why, like, what it was a strategy that they used? Because you can kind of learn from every piece of content. Is their type of text? Is there types of hooks that they're using? So even whenever we're all going to be guilty of scrolling, hopefully there are a few marketing tactics that can be taken away and brought back in and help promote it and use it for different campaigns and different clients.
Yeah, no, I really like to ask this question because I think it's a difficulty that people who aren't in this industry run into, but I think being in this industry, it's so much harder for it to kind of consume your life because being online is helpful. Like it it actually furthers, your business or like your mindset on like how marketing is changing. And I think it's very difficult to have that separation of being consumed by something, and it impacting you because I don't know if we're meant to be online.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, like and that's one of the things I was thinking too is like use it a little bit, try to find some like even email's a great one to consume it or go to somewhere specifically. But if you're weak like me when it comes to getting on social, then if you can just minimize your time, probably the better. Be as active as you can, but honestly, I think that minimizing it and finding resources outside is going to be more than enough. And still, you'll probably be on there for an hour or two a day, which is plenty.
Yes, I am weak. I go down rabbit holes all the time, and I think the last rabbit hole I went down was catfish. I don't know why. I just know I learned all these unusual facts about things, and then I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool, and then I keep doing it. Like
Yeah.
2 hours now, I know all these things about catfish for no reason. They don't fish. I don't. There's no reason for me to know about catfish.
That was pretty cool though. That's kind
They're
of cool.
cool,
Yeah.
and there's giant ones, like the size of people. There's
Oh yeah.
giant cat I didn't know that. And I'm
They're
like,
yeah, and fish people use them to like they'll do like the hand fishing where they go into the hole and they'll pull out a whole catfish. That's like one of the types of fish. So there's different types of fishing for them as well. But yeah, that's probably a pretty cool rabbit hole to go down actually.
it's kind of fun. I do love rabbit holes, but the internet makes it way too easy to go down them, and they waste a lot of my time.
Definitely.
Doing more productive things other than learning catfish facts, which I have no use for, and no one really wants to hear them. But I definitely think that I like that you were talking about the different kind of barriers you can put in to keep yourself from consuming because I'm gonna look into them because I have one. What
Yeah,
the it's nice. It's helpful for your position to be able
definitely.
to yourself.
Yeah, trying to minimize that. Another thing that I do is I bought I bought an old school alarm clock that I have in the room that my fiance and I sleep in, and then my phone is outside of it. So we've been good about leaving our phones away, and I'll and this is another reason why I'm weak because I would just go right back to sleep. So again, there's another way that I try to trick myself into getting up is I'll set the alarm on the standard one, and then if I'm awake from that one, I'll hear my phone in the other room, and then I'll go and I'll have to pretty much walk. Yeah, walk, and then
Wow.
it works about like 75% of the time, but sometimes I'll still go back to bed.
That is really smart. I do have also, and I have the the basic alarm clock with the bells on top. I got one of those. Like that was the sole purpose of it, so that I could put my phone on do not disturb and not put it by me. But I have like this paranoia that I'm gonna miss an important thing and my phone isn't gonna be in the room, but I also know that I could just be sleeping during the important thing, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I'm trying to get out of my head for that because I think that's really it's
Yeah, gotta
much. Screen time is
take the jump.
oof. Yeah. Okay. So um okay, switching gears. Um, so when creating content, and again, I don't know how involved you are in this now, but just if you were still doing it, if you're not doing it now, how would you kind of go about? And I know that it might be different from industry to industry, but maybe as a general sense, how would you go about making um an ad campaign for two different short form social media apps. So like, say you're doing Instagram Reels and TikTok. Would you think that you would use the same ad because they're both short form, or do you think that you'd vary it based off of like the social media itself?
Definitely trying to switch it up per platform. And we've actually haven't focused too much on TikTok. We've kind of more so stayed so on Facebook and Instagram, a lot of Google placements, some of the YouTube aspects as well. But there is still, I mean, still rings true with the variations of it and thinking on that on a per platform basis. There are some similarities, of course, but the more optimized you are per platform, the better it'll be. And I think that's one of the main decisions why we decided to continue to focus on certain platforms and not on others is because not stretching ourselves too thin. And I do see an opportunity with a lot of, everybody's got different strategies to it. I come from like the philosophy is that if you can make Instagram your multi-million dollar platform, you can make Facebook your multi-million dollar platform as long as your clients are there and you're able to engage with them. Of course, we need to have a holistic approach and also pull in email, pull in text, pull in optimizing the conversion rate for these landing pages. But to go back to your point, whenever we do develop per platform, we are thinking of different dimensions, how we're restructuring it, and then also the length as well. Yeah, that's about pretty much how we think about it. And then also, whenever we're coming up with the creative process and doing a lot of pre-production, which is super important with anybody who does video, they know how important pre-production is because it will take more time up front, but the editing process and the post-production process, or the production, the post-production is going to be much easier when you have a very clear strategy in place. And then
Mhm.
during that pre-production side, we'll use Facebook ad library. We've used different tools as well, just to do a lot of market research, see what types of ads are running, go to competitors, see industry standards. Facebook ads library is great because you can also see how long an ad has been running. So if it's a larger company, we hope that their paid media manager is making that decision to continue to run it.
Mhm.
At least that's the thought and the hope that it's also showing that it has a successful type of template or replicable process to it. So we use a lot of that different stuff as well. We go per platform and do as much research and pull as much inspiration as we can to help that process of how we want to structure it.
Is there times where like a client wants to or like believes that they'll have success on a certain social media app, but that's not really the case? Like that maybe the clientele like isn't um based in that app, or maybe like the age range isn't fitting, or do you know what I'm saying, if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think that that's a big part of like expectation setting whenever you're working with a client and also a company is because, oftentimes you are working, especially in like, smaller companies, and smaller can even be, million, couple million, and you'll be directly working with the CEO or the visionary of the company, and they have bold, wild ideas and love the energy, but also at the same time, they might, they just see a trend or and this is part of one of the reasons why they're a visionary and they have built something is because they're seeing things, they get excited, they have a lot of inspiration and motivation. And they say, we need to be on TikTok. Okay, we see that, Instagram's got threads now. We need to be doing that. And it's about
Mm.
like, setting those expectations of let's pull it back a little bit and let's make sure we find the winner for you and let the numbers speak for themselves. So we try to, that's one approach that we do take often is helping clients actually rethink what's possible and committing to a plan and then letting the numbers speak for themselves and try to optimize as opposed to always consistently restart. A lot of these platforms you can find a lot of success, um, but sometimes Facebook will perform a little bit better than Instagram. Google, the search is better for some services and products as opposed to Meta. But all in all, we try to limit it to starting a bit smaller or focused, whether it's just Meta and Google, and not pulling in LinkedIn, TikTok, every new platform under the sun because it's shiny and exciting. We need to remind them that, hey, we're here to make you money profitably, which is
Mm.
also important. And we want to find that solution and set those goals first and foremost.
Yeah, of course. I think that it's nice to be transparent about that as well because I think that um, a lot of clients will, probably come to you wanting a certain thing, and it's, you can try, but that kind of sets you both up for failure if it's not something that you see working for them. Um,
Definitely, and it's much easier to have that conversation a lot earlier
mhm.
than it is later as
Yeah.
well. So it's hard like to not people please and to just go with whatever. It's also our job to say whether you're going to like it or not. Here's my professional opinion, and this is where I think we should move forward with it. And as opposed to like what's built is happy long-term relationships in a business is what you truly want. So sacrificing a couple smaller gigs that just wouldn't align is going to save you a lot of headache and just stress, and more so going with the clients that you can truly serve and that you align with. It's hard to say no sometimes, but in the long term, we've never regretted, um, not taking on something that didn't feel like a good fit because we knew that we weren't able to match up or make it work. And then long term, it's just going to push everybody back.
Yeah, and I think that, if they don't appreciate your professional opinion or honesty, they can just not use your services.
Exactly.
I mean, it's good to find that out in the beginning rather than, halfway down the line and they just think you're doing like a bad job, but it's
Yeah.
just, you know,
A lot of people respect that. Yeah, and if people don't respect that, then that kind of also just shows, hey, we're not a fit for everybody, and that's totally
Mhm.
fine. It's hard to think like that, especially when you're starting a business. But it does it makes it better. You'll get a lot more respect as well if you're able to set those boundaries and expectations.
Exactly. And I think it sets you up for success with well, you mentioned your relationship with them because I think that, your referrals are very important for this business and even the best relationship that you have with them is valuable. And you can um you know in um statistical terms do a successful job, but if they didn't like working with you, then that kind of you're probably not going to get over.
Yes, of course.
So it's nice have a good relationship from the beginning and know that that's what it's going to be because you can find that out very quickly by being honest with people, um and not giving them kind of a pipe dream of
Yeah, of
things that can happen. It's good to believe in the people that are coming to you, but also
course.
there's realistic expectations.
It's important. Yeah.
So it's game time.
But
Decided. Okay. Um, I'm going to ask you something that's not super crazy and absurd first. Okay. Okay. If you're doing outreach, what do you think is best way of doing it in a general sense? Because I know there's so many things that you can do outreach for. LinkedIn or email?
I would say email. Um, we've had some success with email. I haven't went too deep down the LinkedIn rabbit hole, but I think it's a bit easier to stand out on email, where LinkedIn feels very saturated with it, and it'll take a bit of it's going to take a bit of quantity on both sides if you're doing it at scale. But I think that you'll probably have better success when it comes to email.
I kind of agree. I'm not even a big guy on LinkedIn and I still get spam. So
Great.
I can't imagine how much other people are getting spam.
The player.
So I don't love LinkedIn. A professional social media gives me bad juju. I don't
Well, it's the best. Sure.
but I think it's obviously helpful. Especially for this industry. Agencies are very often very heavily involved in a social media presence on LinkedIn specifically. So
Yeah, if you're, I'm sure still be able to make it work. Like if you thought it out, and if anything, if you're trying to just have this copy and paste, people just see right through it. But I mean, I still do use LinkedIn every now and then, but it's like very intentional. Of we had mutual friends in common, or I'm like engaging or building that message to be very unique and actually care. But the amount of it's still kind of hard to stand out in regards to just the amount of spam that's being pushed through. Which I mean is a rule of thumb for everything. If you're going to do it, make sure you're actually having a quality type of outreach. It's going to serve you best long term. Even the same true with email and LinkedIn. But I feel like LinkedIn is a really easy one for people to put a filter up and just kind of instantly not look at messages whenever they're attached to these.
Yes, they're definitely not. LinkedIn is hard to navigate sometimes.
Mhm.
Emailing is something that we've had for much longer. We urge you, trust. But also, yeah, I completely resonate with the point that you made about that you just have to cater how you're outreaching to the person to make sure that you're not being received as spam. Really, it's difficult, especially for outreach teams that are emailing people daily. You have to make this perfect template.
Yeah.
That's important. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a fun question now. If it may be more fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather get $1 every time you complimented a stranger, or $100 every time you insulted a stranger?
I take the dollar. Yeah, that'd be too much. That'd be too much for me.
Yeah, no, I
I'd
agree.
have to.
I think I'd feel worse if I received like a large sum of money when I insulted someone. I don't really feel good about insulting people in general, but if I got $100, I think I'd like feel more weight.
Oh yeah. And I feel like we're just speaking about reputation and referrals. So I think you'd quickly become known as the insulting person,
Yeah,
and it would affect you long term.
I did have someone that did answer the insult one before, but they had kind of a good excuse. They said that when they hang around their friends, they kind of insult each other a lot as like a joke. And he said that he would probably hang out with his friends more so that he'd be able to make more money.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
hope that
it's
they know it's a
wholesome.
joke too. Hopefully, he's not the only one that thinks that.
Yeah, I think that sounds a little more wholesome than just
Yeah.
insulting strangers on the street for money.
Like,
Okay, last one because we're a little over time, but I think I need to ask you another fun question. How many eggs do you think that you can eat in a day?
mm, I think probably 8. I could probably do that.
Okay,
Yeah, if I was like in like training mode, I could probably definitely eat 8 eggs.
that's a realistic answer. I've
Yeah.
gotten many on risk.
I mean, you could do it, but it wouldn't be sustainable to do
Yeah, you
24
would die.
eggs. Yeah.
I've gotten 9 dozen worm. I think that would just kill you. I think you'd reasonably die. Like I think you'd have go into cardiac arrest and die. Yeah, I don't think they could. But sad.
Insulting people and eating eggs.
So
The two
people in
things.
eggs, yeah, I really gotta get a feel for the personalities of the type in this question.
Yeah.
It's not a test though. I don't want you to be nervous.
Just think I
Oh,
passed.
I think you passed. I think you passed. Yeah, I agree with most of these sentiments. Good. But okay, well, this is all the time we have. But I really appreciate you coming on today, answering my weird questions, but also my more informative question. I got to learn a lot, so I really appreciate that. Of
Of course. Thanks for having me. This is great.
course, thank you so much, and thanks for how you have a beautiful setup. So it's really nice.
Thank you. I've been working on that, so I appreciate you
Oh,
complimenting that. Yeah.
my other setup is my room, so it's it's a work in progress. But yeah, it's always beautiful and there's plants, so it's always nice. Okay. I thank you for the beautiful scenery and the beautiful conversation. And everyone listening or watching at home, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more stories like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.